Hi, I'm Ashley Latter, author of this book, Don't Wait for the Tooth Fairy, How to Communicate Effectively and Create the Perfect Patient Journey in your dental practice. And I wanted to talk to you today about 5 communication mistakes that are made often by dentists and team members that actually are in this book. I've personally, over the last 22 years, trained well over 8,500 dentists on my 2-day ethical sales and communication course, and I've delivered this program in 14 different countries. I've visited hundreds and hundreds of dental practices, and I do this on a weekly basis. In fact, I've visited 100 dental practices all over the world. And what I've found is that there's a lot of communication mistakes dentists and their team make. But what I've found is, here's 5 that I often see every single day that deter patients taking up your treatment plans. So I'm going to share with you now what those 5 are. And they're in absolutely no particular order. But reason number 1 is this. We haven't spent enough time building rapport with our patients. In other words, we haven't invested the time getting to know our patients on a personal level. So one of the things I preach and strongly suggest you do is just spend 3 or 4 minutes of every single consultation you have, every single appointment, just really getting to know your patient, becoming genuinely interested in them and build up that relationship. Often I suggest if you can get 2 chairs and then you can have a chat before the patient actually goes on the dental chair, even better. Reason number 2 is this, and that's money. Now, when I often discuss this in my programs, money is always given as the number 1 option why our patients don't take up our treatment plans. Although price is important, is an issue, it very rarely is the issue. It's an issue, but very rarely the issue. The biggest problem is dentists think price is the issue. And what you'll realise is, as I go through these videos and when you hear me speak more often, patients will have other more important factors when they make decisions based around, rather than price. So the reason why you might get price objections is this, is that you haven't presented the value in the eyes of the patient. So we're going to talk a lot bit more about this in future videos. So number 3 reason is this, is making an assumption. One of the biggest mistakes made by dentists is talking about what they do without first truly fully understanding what the patient's wants and needs are. And what happens is a lot of dentists or team members make assumptions, often by what they think the patient can and cannot afford. I mean, have you ever prejudged a patient by how they're dressed, by their zip code, where they live, or maybe by their occupation about what they can and cannot afford to pay for the treatment? When you do this, you pigeonhole the patient. Reason number 4 is this, is that we talk too technical. What I find with lots of dentists is you go on lots and lots of technical courses, and when you come back and start explaining things to patients, you tend to talk a very technical language, using words often that the patient doesn't understand. What I strongly suggest you do is try and cut out the jargon. And a great way of doing this is to actually get the help of your nurse and ask the nurse, discuss with the nurse after each consultation, did I talk too technical? What are some of the words? And by working with your nurse, you should hopefully reduce this. And number 5 is this, is lack of commitment. I often see this and I often hear this happen often, where patients go through the whole consultation, talk about solutions, and then hand patients big treatment plans and say, go home and think about it. Now, I'm totally against hard closing as a concept. It is wrong. It's all about building relationships, finding out what patients' wants and needs are, providing solutions, and give them exactly what they want. The challenge you've got is this, is that if you write big treatment plans and say to patients, go home and think about it, inevitably that's what they will do. And there has to be some part of the process where you are asking the patient, what do you think, and getting some sort of commitment from them. So there's just top 5 reasons that I come across every single day and why patients don't take up our treatment options. Please go through those 5 and work on them, and hopefully you will see an increase in more patients saying yes to your treatment in a very, very ethical way. But in this episode, I want to talk about one more in specific, and that is providing solutions to the patients without first truly fully understanding the patient's wants and needs. In other words, it's making assumptions. How many times you